Well, good evening and hotty toddy, Rebel fans. So today we found out that the Ole Miss Rebels get to host Tulane Green Wave at Oxford. We are the number 6 team in the college football playoff poll and the number 6 seeded team in the bracket as well. The first round games will start on Friday, December 19th. The 8th seeded Oklahoma Sooners will be hosting the number 9 seed Alabama Crimson Tide. That game is a rematch. And from the Tide's only SEC loss until the SEC championship game yesterday. But it was a game in which Alabama turned the ball over quite a few times and kind of really helped out Oklahoma out a lot. Alabama can get some good practice in here. I feel like they should be able to win that football game. But because me and my co-host for the Rebel Nation Conversation podcast, me and him, we both talked about just how bad Oklahoma kind of looked against LSU last week. That was very surprising that it looked quite that bad. So that game between Alabama and Oklahoma going to be kind of interesting there. Then on Saturday, December 20th, we got 3 games. The first one that day is the number 7 seeded Texas A&M hosting the number 10 seeded Miami Hurricanes. And Miami, being one of the teams that, there was a huge, controversy today about the committee. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But then the Ole Miss game, the number 6 seeded Ole Miss will host the number 11 seeded Tulane Green Wave at 3:30 on Saturday, December 20th, which is a rematch from earlier this year when the Rebels won by 5 touchdowns. And then the nightcap for the playoffs on December 20th will be the number 5 seeded Oregon Ducks hosting the number 12 James Madison. So one interesting thing I like to talk about here is that I like Ole Miss's first round draw. Obviously, we get to play a team that we're pretty familiar with. But however, your consolation prize, you win that game, you get to go play the number 3 Georgia Bull and Southeastern Conference champion Bulldogs out of Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. Sugar Bowl has been predominantly an SEC bowl game for as long as I can remember. So they kind of got us paired up with that. If Ole Miss were to get past Tulane, there's 2 SEC teams in that game, and the Rebels played Georgia earlier this year, and actually led them at the start of the fourth quarter by 9 points. It was the closest Georgia really ever came to losing another ball game this year, outside of the one home loss to Alabama. But the other side of that is if Tulane were to win that football game, Tulane gets to go home to New Orleans. And although they will not be the home team, they will be the home team. So in the Sugar Bowl, that would be an interesting storyline. I'm going to hope to hell the Rebels don't allow that to happen. But and I'd like another shot at Georgia. But although right now, I'll be honest with you, Georgia's playing. That defense yesterday looked unstoppable. But then again, Alabama's defense looked very anemic. So Georgia defense looked really good, but how much of that was because they were playing just an offense that just couldn't produce anything? I don't know. But anyway, looking at that bracket again, you're looking at the easiest route, it looks like, at least to the semifinals, would be Oregon's route. And that's no offense towards Texas Tech here. I'm not trying to make but if you had your opportunity, all right, you got to play the number 1, 2, 3, or 4 team in the nation. Which team do you want to have to play? Well, I'd rather play the number 4 team in the nation. even though I do believe right now Texas Tech is playing some really good football. They really are. But that's still the easiest route, I'm guessing. At least you get to the semifinals. When you get to the semifinals, you're going to have to play somebody tough then. No matter what happens, the teams that get through that other end of those brackets, they've earned their right to be there. And so when you get in that semifinal games, you're going to be playing some tough competition. But that's what this is supposed to be, right? This is supposed to be, ain't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be hard. And but when you win, if you win this thing, then you've actually earned something. The only thing that I want to touch on my little quick rant here is the committee. Guys, we can sit here and be bad at the committee all we want to. I feel like, number one, their hands are tied. You got 4 conference champions. It has to be represented. It's your 4 highest ranked conference champions. And with the ACC, this is supposed to literally kind of be a shoe-in for the Power 4. The Power 4 is supposed to be in there. But look at the ACC. Had a 5-loss team as their conference champ. A 5-loss team was not making this field. No way, shape, or form were they going to be able. They could not put Duke in this thing. The only thing could have helped out this bracket right now last night would have been for Virginia to have won their championship. Virginia's a 2-loss team. They could have went into this bracket as an ACC champ, and then Tulane would have been the group of 5. James Madison would not be there. And with that happening, James Madison took a slot. And Tulane moved into one of the top 4 highest ranked conference champions. So now we end up with 2 group of 5 teams in there. And again, that's not the committee's fault. There's no exception to the rule. They can't stop that from happening. The way this occurred, just the way it went down. Duke beat Virginia. Virginia didn't take care of business. So now, their hands are tied. They had to put the top 4 highest ranked conference champions. Obviously, Texas Tech, Indiana, and Georgia were conference champions and definitely ranked way higher than that. But Tulane's the next highest. So they got a slot. And that's what I'm saying. It put the hands tied. If you watched the selection show, you heard the panel discuss, there should be thresholds and stuff like that. I mean, one little simple rule put in there, and the committee might look at that, especially on the group of 5 exception, is that, and this will be just to stop it, is if, it's just got to be basically, we call it the Tulane rule if you want to, if a group of 5 team is one of the highest ranked 4 conference champs, then they do not get a second representative. I mean, just that simple. You do not get a second representative if you are occupying one of the top 4. You're just guaranteed 1 slot. Let's make another exception. Let's just say that a group of 5 team was one of the top 4 teams. This is such an unlikely deal because of strength of schedule. I don't see them ever being, a group of 5 team, ever receiving a ranking that high. I just don't see them ever getting that high because they're not going to play the type of competition that a top 4 team would have played. But let's just say that it did. We're going to go ahead and write this in so we don't have to deal with it later on in case it did happen. If a group of 5 team were one of the top 4 teams in the nation, then they could get another slot for basically having 2 group of 5 teams in there. But that'd be the only exception to the Tulane rule. And again, I'm just calling the Tulane rule is if the group of 5 team was one of the top 4 conference champions, highest ranked conference champions. Because normally, though, you would see this is a very weird year, especially in the ACC, but normally you would have, it'd be an SEC team, Big Ten team, Big 12 team, and an ACC team would occupy those 4 spots, and the group of 5 would get the 5th auto bid. Quite frankly, I don't want auto bids at all. I think it should go to the top 12 teams, regardless of conference, regardless of anything. And but I do like the fact that the committee didn't penalize Alabama because of the loss to Georgia in the SEC championship game. But then I'd also can seem somewhat ambiguous in how it does seem that they did punish BYU for losing in theirs. And although Ohio State technically got punished, they lost 1 spot. They just flip-flopped. Went from number 1 to number 2. But, and anyway, I think the committee got it as right as they could. Their hands were tied. They had to do it. The only thing that people have been complaining about, and I get it, Notre Dame was ranked ahead of Miami in every single poll put out by this committee until this one. Neither played a game yesterday, but for some reason, now all of a sudden, Miami's better than Notre Dame. I actually feel like they've got it right now. I feel like they've had it wrong that whole other times before. As Notre Dame lost to Miami in a head-to-head matchup earlier this year. And I just feel like they should have never been behind. And that should have been addressed. You got to have a little foresight if you're on that committee. You got to look ahead and say, all right, there's nobody going to beat Notre Dame. There's nobody going to beat Miami. BYU's probably going to end up playing. I mean, you can almost see the way this played out 3-4 weeks ago. And so I can get the angst. I can understand it. Notre Dame's already, from what I've understood, they've opted completely out of doing the bowl game. They're not going to play. They're taking their ball and going home. They didn't get in the playoffs. They're mad. They're not going to play in a bowl game. I think I heard Auburn is too, but that ain't really pertinent to this discussion of this college football playoff bracket. But as we can see, it did cause some controversy. Them flip-flopping them on the day after neither one had played a game, and I can get the angst. I can really understand it. But at the end of the day, this is it, and I feel like the committee finally got it right. They put Miami where they ought to be. They should have been there. They weren't, but now they are. So, anyway, we're looking forward to a first round playoff in Oxford, Mississippi. We get to basically host another game this year. I'm sure that atmosphere is going to be electric, as it usually is. So, hotty-toddy, Rebels, and let's get out there and support this team. And all the stuff that's went down this year, we need to win. We need to win big. Support Pete Golding. Let's make this team happy. All right, guys. Let me know how y'all thoughts. Let me know the thoughts of y'all of everything we talked about down in the comments here, and let's keep right on keeping on, folks. Hotty toddy.